everyone, and welcome to tonight's regular board meeting of Greater Clark Schools Board of Trustees. Renee, if you could show everyone present, please. And if you would join us to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have board salutes.
Yes, ma'am. Career and interest STEAM academies will serve as the For Next Generation model to transform our secondary schools. The transformation of teaching and learning requires the creation of meaningful learning experiences which enable students to learn and apply academic 21st century and technical knowledge and skills to real-world challenges. One of our strategies has been the implementation of Project Lead the Way, which is a nationally recognized program that offers a different approach to teaching and learning. Through activity, project, and problem-based curriculum, PLTW gives our students in middle and high schools a chance to apply what they know, identify problems, find unique solutions, and lead their own learning. For teachers, the engaging, rigorous professional development model provides tools to empower students and transform the classroom into a collaboration space where content comes to life. The board salutes Freudenberg Medical for their monetary and equipment donation of $193,504 to support the district's Project Lead the Way efforts. Greater Clark County Schools high school students have the opportunity to take coursework in the engineering and/or biomedical science pathways of the program. Freudenberg Medical will generously donate equipment for the biomedical and engineering program, as well as provide tuition for 4 teachers to attend Project Lead the Way training this summer. We invite Mr. Bender with Freudenberg Medical to come forward to receive a Pride Award from the district for their amazing support of our students and staff.
You would think that $193,000 would earn you something a little bit larger than this.
That is fantastic.
Just real quickly though, this Pride Award stands for so much more than just its size, because for our district, it is a foundation of character that we're building the future of our young people. And so it means a lot. It's not just given out freely. It is something that is earned. And for Freudenberg to support our school system and our career-based efforts at $193,000 is one of the largest gifts that I've ever been associated with. And just know that it's going to go to support our Project Lead the Way program across our district, which supports engineering and biomedical experiences for our students. Thank you to you, Larry, for representing Freudenberg Medical. We can't thank you enough for all you've done in supporting our district. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of Freudenberg Medical for allowing us to support you guys, because obviously without children in the school district, how you guys grow, and the science, will help us in the future. Hopefully we'll get you guys to come work for us. Thank you very much.
That sounds good.
We'd also like to congratulate Riverside Elementary for winning the 2017 GCCS Elementary Academic Competition that was held at Jeffersonville High School on May 18th. Elementary students from across the district answered questions in the areas of science, math, and social studies, competing in multiple rounds to earn points. So we'd like the students that we read their names here to please come forward. Coach Susan Harrington, Jada Ruiz, DJ Holder. Macy Scroggins. Grace Nash. Kelsey Wyatt. Brett Conway. Giovanni Benitez Rubio. Lindsay Keith. Cheyenne Spalding. Rusty Rome. Damiana Padgett. Zion Irvin. Tristan Durbin. Carter Crosby. Luke Church. Luke Roberts. Aiden Denny. Landon Kennard. Lauren Bronner. Logan Best. Mercy Nash. Ariana Hayes. Elena Williams. Grace Nash. And Tevin Reeves.
We're going to honor some outstanding educators here in just a second, and they're very special to the district. And without the teachers that dedicated so much of their time and effort, then these students would not be able to achieve to the level that they are achieving. So it just shows how important our entire community is, because parents, without you and all your efforts and your commitment to your children and to our school system, also this wouldn't be possible. So I think it's just really important we always recognize that we're here for our kids, first and foremost. Our staff is dedicated 100% to them. We get a chance to honor them in just a minute. And parents, thank you for entrusting these young people to us. And I just have to say this to you guys. Sometimes in this world, entertainers and athletes get a lot of attention because of the talent that they have. Not very often do we get the opportunity to honor individuals for the academic skills that you have. And ultimately, those academic skills are going to really help keep you successful for the rest of your lives. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being such great kids, such smart kids, and great ambassadors for Riverside and for Greater Clark County School. So thank you.
certainly my honor tonight to the Board of School Trustees and Administration would like to recognize and salute our 2016 and 2017 school year retirees. These 51 employees have a total of 1,266 years of service in Greater Clark County Schools. Mighty big shoes to fill there. So please come forward when your name is called, and Dr. Mellon and Board of School Trustees President Christina Gilkey will present you with a lifetime pass to all of the Greater Clark activities, as well as a super duper coffee mug to start enjoying that coffee every morning. It might be a little later than what you've been enjoying. From Jeffersonville High School, our first one is Jamie Anderson, 20 years of service. Eileen Bailey with Spring Hill Elementary, 11 years of service. Randall Bailey in North Haven, 13 years of service. Karen Buzzard at River Valley Middle School, 22 years of service. Also from River Valley Middle School, Ron Calabro, 31 years of service. From Parkview Middle School, Patty Crotchett. Kim Dittman from Jeffersonville High School, 31 years. Jan Fitch from River Valley Middle School, 31 years of service. From North Haven, Stephanie Hillis, 29 years of service. From River Valley Middle School, Dennis Kraft, 27 years of service. From Riverside Elementary, Pam Havlin, 18 years of service. From Parkview Middle School, Gina Riney, 32 years of service. John Rowland from Charlestown High School, 14 years. Dennis Snowball from the Service Center, 35 years. Willa Strickler from Utica, 12 years. From Jeffersonville High School, William Thornton, 29 years. And from North Haven, Charlotte Berry, 17 years. Okay, we certainly didn't mean to miss anyone, but we were checking folks off as you came in, so did we miss anyone? Any retirees? Okay, good.
You know, first of all, I want to make sure I don't forget, but there are family members here also who probably deserve a lot of thanks because they have also been part of your journey in education, all the sacrifices that everyone makes on behalf of your work in your school system are also shared with the family members at home. So family members, any family members here, these individuals, would you just stand and be recognized real quickly for me? Good. thing that I noticed is that our school system is made up of over 1,400 employees, and they come from all different walks of life, and they represent all kinds of different job classifications. And up here you have people from many different job classifications. Each and every one of them is incredibly valuable to the success of our school system. And that's what I think is just really amazing as I look up here. I can't thank each and every one of you enough for everything you've done over so many years to make such a tremendous impact on so many children and making your schools and your school system the best it can be. So I wish you the very best as you walk off into the sunset and into any of your future endeavors. But just know that we're always there for you from this point forward. You may be leaving us in terms of your career, but we're hoping that you'll still be part of our family for years to come. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Before you all start leaving, we actually have one more board salute that we would like to make. So if you hang with me for just a second. This is a really big deal, so I wanted to make sure to catch you if I could. So thank you for sticking around with us for just a couple more minutes. On Thursday, May 25th, the Plymouth Canton Community Schools radio station, 88.1 The Park, named their Distinguished Alumni Award after our superintendent, Dr. Andy Mellon. Dr. Mellon served as the station manager for WSDP-FM from 1982 to 1987, where he initiated the first ever scholarship for station graduates and coordinated an extensive renovation of the on-air studio, which enabled stereo broadcasting for the first time in the station's history. So I think we're kind of seeing why you deserve that award. The board salutes our superintendent, Dr. Andy Mellon, for this prestigious honor. And those of you that were going to leave, you are welcome to go. Thank you.
We'll see y'all. Random. Start traveling. Boat? Whatever.
So board, I need approval for tonight's agenda. And there are a couple of things that we need to change from the way it's written. So whoever would like to make that motion, if you could please include a separate vote on consent agenda item 9, as well as a separation of action item number 16. We need to separate North Haven project from Bridgeport project. So whoever would like to make that motion, if you could do that with those things included, that would be amazing.
I will make the motion to separate item number 9 from the agenda tonight for a separate vote.
All right, and also, Mr. Pavey, could you include 16 in separating those?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mill. Any other questions, comments before we take a vote?
Do you need 14?
No, 16.
Oh, 16.
Unless what's on paper is different than what's on the Word docs. Let me take a peek, sorry. Let me make sure. I'm cheating, I'm looking at a paper
I think
copy.
it is item 14.
It is 14. Thank you, Katie. We
So,
okay, Renee, on these?
All right. I amend my motion to make that item 14 rather than 16.
Thank you, sir. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda as Mr. Pavey made the motion, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All right, thank you very much for bearing with me through that. All right, so first is the approval of minutes from previous meetings. We have our May 2nd and our May 16th executive session minutes. Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. I'm sorry, that was executive session. We also need to do regular meeting. Normally we do those together, but I think I spoke up and said executive session. So would someone please make a motion for the regular meetings as well?
Ms. Gilkey, could we possibly do it all over because you forgot the executive committee also? There was 3 executive sessions.
Well, see, that's what I get for looking at paper copy again. I guess I just need to throw that next one. I'm sorry.
You're
Okay, let's try that again. So item F, numbers 1, 2, and 3. Could I get a motion to approve those?
Items 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Thank you, Teresa. Questions, comments? All in favor, raise your hand, say aye, please. Aye. Thank you. Lord have mercy. It's been one of those weeks, and it's only Tuesday. Any public comments? Okay. So next we have our consent agenda, and we will take items 1 through 8 in totality. If someone could make that motion, please. So moved. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And then finally, under consent agenda, we have action item number 9. Is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I move that we adopt both findings of fact conclusions of law and order submitted by the administration and cancel the teacher's contract of Ms. Colcroft.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you. Questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. I said no.
No. 6-0.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, to
So
abstain.
Mr. Pavey has to abstain because he was not present during the hearing or during the conference. Sorry, Mark. All right, action items. Number 1.
Gifts to buildings.
Did I skip something?
Gifts to buildings.
Gifts to buildings.
The best part,
Mrs. Brad.
what's that? Looks like $14,100.17. Just amazes me every month that people in the community know we're doing a good job and appreciate it and give money to help kids. I make a motion we gladly accept it.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft, for the motion and Mr. Clayton for the second. Any questions or comments?
I would just like to make a comment for Emily Oliver Jones. Her little girl does a lot of extra things. I would love to have her here one night. She put on a buddy, I forget what it's called, a buddy bench. She put 2, and if there's a child that needs just to have some fun and hasn't been playing with others, they can go over and sit at this buddy bench, and another one will come over and they'll play together or become friends together. It's just an awesome thing, and this little girl, she's just awesome at doing things like this. So I hope sometime that we can bring that little girl here and honor her, because she really does a lot.
I agree. Any other comments? All right, all in favor of accepting gifts to buildings in the amount of $14,100, please raise your hands out. Aye. Thank you. Before we move into action items, guys, we approved under consent a new assistant principal. And I'd like Dr. Mellon to take a second and recognize her.
Yes, Board, as you know, John Rowland, Mr. Rowland, has retired as the assistant principal of Charlestown High School. And we are honored to be able to move an existing teacher in our school corporation, Amy Cook, from Jeffersonville High School, where she's been a great teacher leader for us, to move her into the assistant principal position at Charlestown High School. Amy has been an outstanding teacher. She's been a great teacher leader, and we're looking forward to great things in her administrative role as assistant principal at Charlestown High School. And I also know she has family here tonight, so thank you so much for Amy being here and for the family to...
So then we will move into action items. Number one is Synovia Solutions. And this is actually not an action item, David, is that correct?
It's really not an action.
Information.
Just want to give you a little bit of background on this. And, I came last year and talked to you guys towards the end of the year about using technology to make us more efficient and also for safety concerns. One of the things that technology can do now is basically tell us who gets on a bus and who gets off of us and where with the GPS it pings where that's at. And so what we're looking at is basically doing a test pilot system, which we've done. Mr. Watson, the assistant director, kind of spearheaded that work with Synovia, who does our GPS. We have GPS on all our buses right now, to actually do this on a couple different buses. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's going to walk you through what we've done and where we would like to go from here.
Thank you, Board. We go ahead and go to the next slide. This is a new app. It's new technology. Parents can put it on their phones, their tablets, their PCs. Students can do that as well. What it will do is it will send an email or a text message when the bus is getting close to the student's stop. It'll also let the parent know if the bus has already been to the stop and if the bus has already been to the child's school. This is an example of what that message would look like coming from a computer. So it actually gives the date, the time stamp when that bus made that stop, either at the bus stop or at the school. We can also send emails and text messages to students and parents, let them know if there's going to be a late bus, if the bus number is going to change with a substitute bus. We'll be able to let the parents know quickly in the event of an accident. We can send that blast out just to the parents on that bus. We can also notify parents of their bus stop, their bus number, the stop time, without having to send any mailings home. So it's all done electronically. This is a sample of what the parent can see on their screen, either on the app or on the computer. The green, there's a little schoolhouse. The green shows that the bus has already been to the school. The green stop sign shows that the bus has already been to the stop. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, it also lets you know that the stop was at Blueberry Way and Washington Way. It was a scheduled stop. According to our routing software, it was supposed to be there at 7:06. The bus actually arrived at 7:10. And then the scheduled stop for the school, the bus actually arrived at 7:30 at the school. So it gives all that information directly to the parent. So if a student is standing out in the rain, they know exactly where that bus is going to be. So it's a lot more accurate in getting students to that stop. This next one is just a little bit closer up picture so you can kind of see what the stop sign looks like and the schoolhouse looks like. They would be red if the bus had not been to the stop or the school yet. This next screen is what the parent has the ability to do. They can actually set that boundary of where they want to be notified. So if they want to be notified in a very broad range when that bus is 2 or 3 streets over, or if they're really getting really close to the house, so they have that ability to make that change. It's very reasonable in cost. It's $2 per bus per month. Synovia wants to go to a 25-month contract that would be coterminous with our current GPS. We have 2 years left on our GPS with Synovia. We have 97 buses on route, so that's a monthly cost of $194. Questions?
It's not like we ever have late buses. We really don't. Nobody can tell you that. They're always on time. But in the event that we do have a late bus, what we would do now is send out a school messenger. The problem with that, it goes to everybody. So all of a sudden, people don't, if I don't recognize the number, I don't answer the phone, right? So what happens is they'll just basically call back that number, flood the office with phone calls that don't necessarily apply to them. Questions?
Just one, is this tied to the students anyhow, anyway, or?
Yeah, what it is the student, it is by the student ID number. The parent will log in with the student ID number, set up a password, and so that the student or the parent can put that on their phone.
Well, I'm sorry, let me say a little differently. The student's actually on the bus, like,
It does not let you know exactly if that particular student got on or off the bus.
Okay.
That student ridership, we're getting closer to that technology being correct. It's just not where we want it yet.
Okay.
This app will also, when we get to that point, it is also works as a bus pass and will have an ID barcode on their cell phone so they can actually use that app to scan onto the bus when we get to that point.
this is a great start. Yeah, that was good. Good job.
Thank you.
Our goal, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying thank you.
No, thank you. I just want to make sure that our plan was to try to, there's just from a contractual perspective, usually we would have made this kind of a presentation, the second board meeting of the month, brought it to you for action, the first board meeting of the month, but because of the contractual piece of this and just the time it will take to get this set up in preparation for the new school year, we just sort of needed to move this forward. So tonight, board, it is just for information, gives you a couple of weeks to consider it, and we'll bring it back to you in 2 weeks for an action item, and then we can meet the timeframes relative to the contract.
All right, next action item is the proposed land purchase in Charlestown.
Community Board, in October 2016, the board approved the purchase of properties located adjacent to Charlestown High School for future site development. At that time, the owners of 1046 Monroe Street weren't certain if they were interested in selling the property, but have since changed their mind, decided to sell. In accordance with state law, 2 appraisals were conducted, and the average price of the 2 appraisals was offered as a purchase price. Attached are the purchase agreements and also the resolution. Superintendent is recommending the purchase of the property at 1046 Monroe Street in Charlestown for the purchase price of $153,500 and the adoption of the attached resolution and conditional on purchase.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second again.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bill. Questions? Comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. Is that 7-0? No more, okay, 7-0. Thank you. Waiver from the implementation of protected taxes is the next item.
Governor Pence signed House and Roll 1062 into law stating that a school corporation can submit a waiver asking to spread the tax cap loss to the 2 protected funds, which are debt service and pension debt. If our transportation fund projected tax cap is more than 10% of its levy, our actual percentage this year is 12%, so we do qualify to transfer the tax cap loss to debt service and pension debt. Our 2017 tax caps are projected at $2,362,963. Last year, we were at $2.9 million, or $621,000 less than last year. Approval of this allocation, the resolution will reallocate this amount to debt service, pension debt, transportation, capital projects, and plus replacement funds. Currently, without this resolution, our funds would be impacted as follows.
Capital projects would lose $1.2 million, transportation $866,000, bus replacement $233,000. By approving this resolution, debt service would lose $837,000, pension debt would lose $133,000, capital projects would lose $739,000, transportation $513,000, and bus replacement $138,000. So far, since 2009, when tax caps were voted into the state law, we are approaching $30 million in tax cap losses. We're asking permission to approve this resolution, allowing us to spread the tax cap loss over the two protected funds.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Teresa. Questions? Comments? Probably shouldn't comment on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, really good.
All in favor, raise your hand, say aye, please. Aye. And 7-0.
I voted to take it.
All right, next is approval of amounts of surety, bonds, and designation of extracurricular treasurers.
Yes, as part of our annual financial process, we need to have surety bonds for deputy treasurer, extracurricular treasurers, and there's a variety of miscellaneous staff that we also have to have these people that handle money at any given time. You have the list in there, so we're asking permission to approve this surety bond for all these people that are listed.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Questions? Comments? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Now we need to approve you, right?
Yes.
You're going.
My bond. Okay, the public official bond is from Selective Service, or Selective Insurance for myself, is in the amount of $100,000, which is what the state recommends. The annual premium for this bond is $218. The effective date of this renewal is July 1, 2017 to July 1, 2018. This is just a normal routine action, so we're asking permission to approve this.
So, thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Teresa. Any questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And we also have a rainy day fund transfer, correct?
Yes. The administration is requesting to transfer up to $750,000 from the transportation operating fund to the rainy day fund. This money is coming from the unused and unencumbered cash balance projected to remain in this fund at the end of 2017. As per Indiana Code 36-1-8-1, transfer to and from a rainy day fund has to be approved by the school board via a board resolution. Attached is a resolution authorizing the transfer.
Is there a motion? Mrs. Crouch?
We're putting money in there, anything.
And it's coming from transportation.
I'm the one that cuts it every time you take it out, so I should be the one making the motion.
I figured you, Teresa, and Bill would be against this one.
You figured wrong. I second that.
Thank you. Comments, questions?
Yeah, Dr. Douglas, I noticed this is for the end of 2017. Is there a reason we're doing it this early in the year, or you would think we'd have a better look at it at the end of the year and make that resolution? So,
Well, the reason it's going now is I'm going to start working, I'm already working on the budget for 18, and I have to show my cash balance as of June 30th.
Okay.
If it shows too high of a cash balance, that means my taxes will be less, and then when I transfer it, I won't get all the tax money that I want.
Okay.
So,
that makes sense.
and then also don't forget, when we were approved in our budget, the local option income tax, if you remember the cash flows, we were showing January and February showing the local option income tax for certain funds, and then all of a sudden, I think it was March, we reversed it because everything was going through transportation, according to the state.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. You're welcome, sir.
University of UK, baby. Technology. Yes, University of Kentucky, and I have to get
little shout out because that's where my job is. And we gave them our money so we could. We were actually contacted by the University of Kentucky because some of the staff that we've hired in the last few years in speech and language are outstanding staff, and they actually want to place students with some of these people. So they requested that we come to agreement with them where they can place their practicum students and their interns with us, and hopefully that will give us and with some of those people who might want to come to Indiana and stay in Indiana. So I'm asking your permission to go ahead and make that agreement.
Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Is there a second? I'll second. Thank you, Katie. Questions? Comments? This doesn't cost us anything.
Not a thing. Hopefully we'll get something out.
All in favor, raise your hands out. Aye. 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a LifeSpring contract.
This is a continuation contract, and basically it started years ago when districts started to, well, not that long ago, but districts started to work with mental health centers to have systems of care in order to support people who maybe are Medicare or Medicaid eligible and need some support in terms of getting case management, counseling services. So we provide a contract with LifeSpring up to $15,000 to support that project. In reality, we don't spend nearly that much. I pulled the numbers from the last 2 years, and it's a couple $1,000s that we're actually supporting. But for any student that we have that needs that kind of wraparound services, they make the case manager available. And then they also work with parents to get them into counseling, and they also work with families just to kind of coordinate all those difficulties sometimes you run into when you're working with lots of bureaucracy.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Teresa. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Now, do they make recommendations on any medication?
If they were doing that, that would go through the psychiatrist of LifeSpring. They would not be in a position to recommend any kind of medication, just like we would. But if they felt a student needed it, then they would make an appointment for them to see the psychiatrist. And all that.
Any other? All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye. Aye. And opposed? And an abstention? So 6-0 and 1. All right. Next, we have the River Cities Mentoring Consulting Services.
And basically, this again is a continuation, and this is for homebound instruction. And sometimes we have students who are on homebound because of either medical reasons or because of some emotional or behavioral issues. And there are times that we need someone that can actually do it during the day. So Janet Turner is a former teacher of ours, and she sort of formed this little corporation, and she will go and work with really any student that we have. And she's worked with some of our kids who have maybe some more severe kinds of behavioral issues. She's also been willing to go over to the gym all the times when we've had kids that need services over there. And she's just a very flexible member of our staff who she works with. So this would be a contract. Hopefully she'll put it in.
So,
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa Zolman. Any questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hands out.
Aye.
7-0.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have middle school athletic handbooks for the 17-18 school year.
Each year, the athletic handbook for our middle schools, we review and revise it. And we met, I met with the middle school athletic directors just a few weeks ago. And we've spent quite a bit of time going page by page through the document to make sure that it was updated. Some changes, we did highlight those for you. And we also placed some changes in the page numbers on this document as well. At this time, the superintendent recommends approval of the middle school 2017-18 athletic handbook.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second? Thank you, Mark. Questions?
Is there any addition in the athletic handbooks about random drug testing for athletes or those involved in clubs?
We did not add anything like that to this particular handbook.
To neither the middle school nor the high school?
One of the things that we've talked about is we have looked into random drug testing for students. Usually it'd be for athletes, individuals who are involved in extracurricular activities or who drive to school. And it's something we'd love to bring forward to the board, but the key is to find the funding for it. One year, we had talked to, was it 4 years ago?
2-3 years ago, it was about 40,000.
Yeah, it's about a $40,000 cost to do it the way it needs to. We had about half of that through a foundation in our school system, but we couldn't get the other half. So at some point in time, we would very much like to be able to bring that recommendation to you as a board to do random drug testing. I did have that in place in another school system where I was superintendent, and it was really well received by the community. And also our Pride program. A lot of our businesses, we have 9 criteria to earn a work ethic certificate. It does not have, being drug-free is an important criteria. And again, we would like to be able to utilize that as a 10th criteria to earn a work ethic certificate that sometime during their senior year, they will submit to a drug test. And it's just a way for us to make a statement. It's a big issue, as we all know, in our community, and we're trying to do it in our power to support, educate, and be as proactive as we can as it relates to those issues. So that's a long answer, but I want you to know we're very serious about it, but it's also can be expensive, and we wanted to find ways to support that outside of our general fund budget.
So, did you have a question? No, not now. Okay, I did. Any other? All right, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. 7-0. And then we have high school.
Yes, ma'am. Our high school athletic directors came together as well, and we reviewed the high school athletic handbook for this upcoming athletic year. And at this time, we ask that you approve the handbook for the 17-18 school year.
Is there a motion? So moved. Thank you, please. Is there a second? Thank you, Nancy. Any questions, comments about the high school handbook?
So no changes in this one from last year?
All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. And then last, we have the secondary student handbook for New Washington Middle High because the internet would not allow them to send that to us at the last meeting.
Due to the power outage, yes, ma'am, we were unable to get our New Washington Middle High School handbook again, so at this time, we are submitting that to you for approval.
Is there a motion?
So
Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Second. Ms. Solon, thank you. Questions, comments? All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye. Aye. That's 7-0. Thank you. Next, middle school science textbook adoption.
Yes, last month you approved the high school science textbook adoption, and at that time I let you know that the middle school were in a complete tie in terms of their selections for first and second place. We brought both of those vendors back, allowed the teachers to see each of the presentations again, go back and vote, and they ended up in a complete tie again. And the interesting thing about the tie was usually you can go by teacher vote, usually you have a large school and the 2 large schools won something and then the small school, it was one large, one small, one large, one small that wanted it, so it was all split. So the committee got together, and since Dr. Griffin is a licensed science teacher by trade, we allowed him to utilize the rubric and to kind of lay out the programs side by side. And the committee deferred to his opinion, and they have agreed to use Pearson, primarily because it's a more flexible digital platform and for blended learning. And so both programs were equally priced for the most part, and so we're ready to go with that if you'll approve it.
Is there a motion? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Is there a second? Thank you, Katie. Questions? Comments? All in favor, please raise your hand. Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, next we have item 14, North Haven and Bridgepoint Elementary Schools. And I think we'll take North Haven first.
Sounds
up
good
there.
to me, Madam President. Yes, so at this time, we would like the superintendent would recommend the approval of the architecture engineering service agreement with the Estopanol Group towards North Haven. This would allow us, board, as you know, you've already approved this. This is part of the petition remonstrance, and it would allow us to get started at North Haven as with the recommendation as Estopanol being the architect, engineer, provider.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion? So moved. Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Any questions, comments?
Dr. Millen, we've discussed this, but I won't be in support of this tonight. And I think with a project this size, we need to RFP those services, so I won't be supporting this tonight.
Any other? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye. Aye. And opposed? That carries 4-3. And just for the record, my reason is the exact same as Mr. Pavey's. And anything over $2 million should be bid.
And my reason is we're already late getting it done, let's get it done.
And Board, I appreciate it, and Mr. Pavey, you know how much I respect you, and I understand. And I think the key factor is this is the first time since I've been here in 5 years, we've been able to do a project for over $2 million. And so in the future, for us to be able to work at a point where we can do an RFP process or a request for quotes is something that we will strive to do and not be in a similar position. But timeline to get all the work done for the start of the following school year, based upon recommendations from a couple different architects, was one that we just had to move on. So just for the public's knowledge, this was essential in order to get the work done. So we'll work in the future and make sure we go through a different process in terms of requests for quotes.
Right, and then Bridgepoint, which is $2 million or under project.
Yes, ma'am. This would be a $2 million under project that the board has not approved yet, but we would like to get this started. And again, time would be of the essence on this, and the superintendent's recommendation would be that to approve the architectural engineering services agreement with the Estopanol Group to start us down the path with Bridgepoint Elementary.
All right, motion by Milk, second by Mrs. Kraft. Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And opposed? All right, and that motion carries 5-2.
And Board, I think it's also important, just from the public's perspective, the North Haven project, as Dr. Hare mentioned, is already part of the petition remonstrance process, and all the funding pieces were all in place. Bridgepoint, this is just a starting point for that. We just need to get the plans developed and drawn, and what we'll be doing is bringing that back to you for your approval of the project, including all the funding components of it. Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 15, and this is the Mark Fetter Learning Center Architectural Services.
Yes, ma'am. As you know, through a very generous donation, we were given the Fetter property, the auto auction down on 10th Street, and this is part of the plan to beautify and be within those requirements that are part of the 10th Street beautification process. This again would allow us to get started. This would be a project again under $2 million. And at this time, the recommendation, the superintendent would recommend the approval of the property screening and the streetscape improvements. That's a proposal provided by J. Blake Architecture and Design for the Mark Fetter Center for Professional Learning.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Milt. Questions, comments?
It's pretty obvious that we could go ahead with the interior changes and retrofit without doing all this outside, but we're obligated to do this because of the 10th Street beautification project.
I will. If you remember, Board, thanks for asking the question. when we were working through this process before, you know that there is an emphasis placed on widening 10th Street and beautifying 10th Street, and to meet the criteria, it would involve moving the fence line that exists there back. There has to be green space between the road and the fence, and there also has to be room for sidewalk. So if you remember, some of you, not everyone was on the board at the time, but we actually drew up those plans so that we had fencing and landscaping and accommodated the space between the road, or where the road will end up being, and the green space and fence. So this is just a continuation of that process. And what we'll be doing, again, board, is we'll be bringing back the details in terms of the project itself and all the cost factors. We'll bring that back to you. So tonight, all you're doing is approving or authorizing the moving forward to make sure that we have it working with the planning and zoning department, and we're doing all the things to meet the criteria.
So we will be brought once we know how much it's going to be, we'll be brought to board again.
Absolutely. So we'll bring, just like with the Bridgepoint project, when we have the scope of work, the cost factors, the funding process, we'll bring that all back to you. And you need to approve all that before any construction or renovation were to take place.
Any other? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And that's 7-0. Next will be an architectural and engineering services contract.
Yes, ma'am, board, as you are aware, at time to time, we do need the services of an architect, and in the past, to improve efficiency, we have asked the board for that approval, so that it would help with the efficiency. At this time, the recommendation from the superintendent would be to approve the master contract with J. Lake Architecture and Design for architectural and engineering services as requested for projects $2 million and under.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tracy. Questions, comments?
My comment is, I'm just eager to make this simply because he's the architect in charge of the Parkland project, and it looks as though we can save $23,230, which we never get under that. Remember, I was impressed.
Is this contract year to year? Is it what, I mean, for how many years is it?
What we've done in the past, we had a contract with a different firm for about 5 years. And so the whole idea, as long as the quality of work, the responsiveness, the trustworthiness, the loyalty, all those factors, as long as they come into play, then, in my opinion, then we continue to honor that kind of a circumstance and situation. So if, by some chance, at any point in time, the quality of work, cost factors, any of those things start to suffer, then we'll bring back and go in a different direction.
And also the one thing I appreciate is that the hourly relative costs are, for the most part, less than the previous firm. So this is actually going to result in a savings for us on anything under $2 million. So I appreciate that. Any other questions, comments?
Just one, Dr. Mellon, and Teresa makes a very good point. This is a new process for us with Mr. Lake, and I know he's got a good history with the corporation and all, but I am uncomfortable with not having some type of limitation on that, you know, a year or two, because we can always reevaluate it after a year or two. I think your point's very valid, and so I might have a little problem with that, just so you know. And I know we hadn't had a chance to discuss that, but that really...
Well, maybe what we could do, board, is I have no, you know, I'm accountable to you. So maybe what we do is we just put it back on the radar screen a year from now and make sure that we revisit and make sure that I have no problem revisiting and making sure that the board is still satisfied, because fortunately it looks like we're going to be able to finally do more projects, and we want to make sure that we're sensitive to quality, sensitive to cost, And so why don't, if you will trust me to this, I'll be more than happy a year from now to come back to the board and at least have a review of the work that's been done over the past year and see if you're still satisfied.
That's fine. I mean, as long as we've got something in there where we're going to come back and evaluate, you know, and it does just go on and on and on. I'm fine with that, but, you know, even basketball coaches have contracts, so.
In Indiana?
Right. So, the review is very important.
Yes. Any other? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And opposed? That's 6-1. And then we have Charlestown and River Valley Middle School's design build, and we need to, the recommendation includes a line item for minibuses, and that is incorrect.
Yes, it's in there, yes.
So whoever makes that motion needs to make it with that item being struck.
I also think it's part of the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Our error was inadvertently put on there, so. And you're correct, Madam President. This is very excited about this. This is giving us approval to move forward with Charlestown and River Valley Middle School using the design build concept. The recommendation at this point in time is that the superintendent would recommend approval of the design build renovation proposal provided by J Lake Architecture and Design for Charlestown and River Valley Middle Schools with the removal of the 2 minibuses that are located there in each building. And again, we removed those, if you'll remember, board back in November and inadvertently put them on this when I passed this along to Mr. Lake. So I do apologize for that. But at this time, the recommendation would be to move forward with the proposal minus those 2 minibuses at each location.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Ms. Kraft. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Questions, comments?
That means we're going to be safer. That's very good.
Any other? All right, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. And opposed? That's 6-1. All right, and then next is Parkwood Elementary, I'm sorry, Charlestown Middle School roof repair. I'm gonna skip one again.
Yes, Board. If you will remember, back on April the 29th, we had a storm that passed through and it tore off the roof at Charlestown Middle School. We were out there most of the morning, actually most of the weekend. As soon as we were made aware that we contacted Insulated Roofing, IRC, they were actually able to come out and mobilize, well, I would say in about an hour, and to button everything up for us. They have taken a look at it. Our insurance adjusters have been out. They've looked at it. We've actually received partial payment. When the roof blew off, it also damaged other portions of that roof. And quite honestly, IRC has been out, I would say every time it's rained, that might be a stretch, but it's pretty close to that because we are leaking there on the roof. And quite honestly, Board, we're in an emergency situation where we need to get this repaired. So we would like to declare this an emergency to get this roof repaired. It is leaking, and this would allow us to button up the entire roof. It only makes sense to do it this way before we would start the construction underneath the roof. It doesn't do us any good to do the work inside and then have it, obviously leak. So at this time, we would declare that an emergency and move forward with that. So the recommendation would be to the proposal contract for insulated roofing contractors to repair the roof damage at Charlestown Middle School due to the emergency situation.
Thank you, Milt. Is there a second? Thank you, Katie. Questions?
Is that an insurance situation?
Yes.
It is.
Partial, Mr. Tate. Partial. Part of it is worn out, and due to the fact they've been up there, it's leaking in some other places now that we've been up there, and we've actually had to use brains and things like that. So
we're going to get a little.
The whole thing needs to be replaced, but because it's all connected to that part of the insurance, we declare it as an emergency. We can move forward with the whole thing, finish it up. It just doesn't make sense to have them come out every time.
Any other?
right, all in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. 7-0. And last, under action is the Parkwood Elementary additions and renovations. We have a change order.
Was that Mrs. Kraft?
Yes.
All right.
Which involves a credit. Yes.
You guys are way ahead of me. This is a credit. This is one of the good change orders. We'll take it. This is the recommendation is approval of change order number 4 for Parkwood Elementary, the addition and renovation. And this is reduces the contract. It actually gives us money back that was in the contingency for $23,230.
I need a motion, please. Mrs. Kraft, thank you. Is there a second? Anybody want to? Thank you. Any questions, comments? All in favor of accepting credit back, please raise your hand. Say aye. Aye. 7-0.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Board.
All right. We are next into board reports and requests. Dr. Clayton, do you have anything?
Nothing.
All right. Katie? Teresa? Mrs. Kraft?
Well, I don't know what to say. Are we going to talk about it? You're not going to talk about it?
Yes.
You are going to talk about it?
Yes.
I'm going to do it on the comments.
Oh, okay.
We can do it together.
Teresa? I actually have an amazing report. I am so excited. So when I walked into executive session tonight, our bond counsel, Tom Peterson, was here. He was waiting for me. I didn't realize that, or I might have sped up a little bit to get here. But he shared with me that when we originally budgeted the open concept projects, so the things we just voted on, North Haven, Charlestown Middle School, North Valley Middle School, the things we had remonstrance on. Okay, we had anticipated a 4% interest rate. We sold those bonds for a 2.96% interest rate, which results in us and our taxpayers saving $150,000 a year in interest times 20 years. That is a $3 million savings. Wanted to pass that along to you all as well as our public. Next, we have no public comments on non-agenda. Okay, so board comments. Dr. Clayton?
I have none. Thank you.
Katie?
Yes, I know I voted no a lot tonight. I have nothing against Mr. Lake or the design build process. I know he has a reputation, however, I have only been on the board 6 months, and his reputation, I guess, precedes me, because I know none of it. I am here for the kids. I'm not against safety. I'm not against doing these schools, but I was voted here by my constituents, and I represent my constituents, and I come here, and when I vote with people who put me in office, and I have had a lot of people contact me, and I feel like I know we gotta get things done because time is of the essence, but, you know, they say never make decisions when you're in a hurry, or call people when you're angry, or drunk or something, I don't know. And so, you know, that's why I'm voting no a lot. I just think we're moving very quickly, and I think there's a lot of unknowns, and so.
Ms. Sullivan?
Say congratulations to Amy. She'll do great at Charlestown. I love Charlestown, so she'll do great there. And I'm looking forward to the graduations. They're fun to go to. I know Jeff is a long morning, but it's still a fun time. So just a wonderful June.
Mrs. Kraft?
Yes, I'm looking forward to the full page ad on how much money our scholarship fund is going to be from graduation, and how many kids are going to be graduating, and how, for one time, let's just put it in there and tell it like it goes, because we really do a good job. And all the other funds that have to
Mr. Pate?
Well, I looked in the paper the other day, and there was a familiar face that said they are going to be leaving us, Dr. Griffin, and I just want to let you know that we really appreciate all your contributions, and just remember us little people when you get up to the top there. But anyway, and I may be stealing Dr. Nolan's thunder, I don't know, but I just wanted to pass on my gratitude and wish you well in your new assignment, whatever that assignment may be. So.
Ms. Harkins?
Yes, we will miss you, Stephen. You've done a great job here, and I know you'll do a great job in your next. They need all the help they can get. Yeah, but anyway, congratulations. And glad you brought these two handsome gentlemen with you. One of them, I believe, is from New Albany Schools, isn't he? You know, well, come on over here. And lastly, Natalie, maybe you could add to this, but Ms. Kraft and I had the great honor and great fun to visit Ridge Point Elementary's kickoff for their Read and Feed. And I don't know, what do you think, Ms. Kraft? Maybe 75 to 100 kids were there? I don't know how many you fed, but 108. Pardon me? 108. 108. That's pretty good. And a lot of parents. And they got books. And they're going to continue this through their grant through the summer. But we're also feeding at how many other schools? You want to name them?
We have Spring Hill is feeding site. Put me on the spot here.
I know.
Bridgepoint, Jeffersonville High School, River Valley Middle School, Maple Elementary, Pleasant Ridge Elementary, and then in addition to the Read and Feed bus, which goes out into the Bridgepoint community, we're also taking our food truck out into the community, and we're going to do 2 stops in Charlestown, 2 stops in the Jeff area, and 3 stops in Clarksville.
And I just wanted to say thank you for all the work you put into that and helping our kids, because sometimes in the summer, well, during the school year, I know that might be their only hot meal and their only nutritious meal. So thank you for doing that for our kids this summer. I appreciate it.
And can I add, it's fun to watch the kids eat watermelon. It's a lot of fun, really. And that the teachers volunteered.
Oh, yes.
On that day. And
Face painting.
Yes.
I tried to get this one to get her face painted.
She really did.
So I want to just comment on 2 things really quickly. You know, as a board, we often have to make difficult decisions. That's what we were elected to do, right? And one of the things we had to do tonight was vote on a teacher contract cancellation. And I just want to say publicly, that was a hard decision. And we don't take that for granted, that what we have to do is difficult sometimes. Just because we have to take a vote doesn't mean it's not hard. The other thing I wanted to say is regarding the Estopanol votes. Those were 4-3 and 5-2. The majority of the board spoke. The majority of the board said yes. So moving forward, I will be giving my support to that project. That's what functional boards do, right? So that's all I wanted to say about that. Dr. Miller.
Well, graduations this weekend. New Washington, Friday night, 7 o'clock. Jeffersonville High School, Saturday, 10. And then Charlestown High School, Saturday at 1. And I'm looking forward to shaking the hands of almost 800 graduating seniors this weekend. It's an awesome honor that I have as your superintendent, and I'm glad that you're going to be there to help support that. Also, the graduate report, our plan of attack is to have that at the next board meeting, because that's really a highlight of the year, to show our kids and where they've been accepted and the scholarship dollars, the number of dual credits earned and all that. So we'll look forward to sharing that at our next board meeting. And Dr. Griffin will still be here for that meeting. So that'll be maybe one of his last official duties, but he'll be making that presentation. But I greatly appreciate you as a board acknowledging him this evening. And then the last thing is, I just wanted to say that we just got out of school. And last Friday, we had a professional development situation here in the building with almost 60 people. And over the last couple of days, we've had professional development where teachers and administrators are coming in and continue to improve their practices and learn how to enhance what they do to help kids. And I'm just very proud of them. I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of the commitment that they're making to just continue to get better And that is awesome. And I've got this team over here to my left that, they get a lot of work done and they do a tremendous job and get a lot of things coordinated. And I think you saw tonight with all the different action items that came forward. There's a lot of work involved. We appreciate all of your opinions and your support of this, and we're going to continue to work hard and do the best we can to make you proud of us. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I need a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, Teresa Zolman. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Clayton. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Good night.